Get started. So can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome, great. So thank you everybody for joining. It's a serious webinar for us. It's the first time Tosca, me, or Name and Shreya are going to talk to students who've already graduated from our class, or others who are probably in the senior year this year. So that's the audience we were hoping to bring in. If there are younger students who are interested, please bring them on as well. This session is being recorded. My name is Harpal Kocher. I'm the CEO and founder of Success Koach, which is a college admissions advisory company. When we started this company, it was mostly because I saw my own kids going through, one of them is on this call, Shreya, going through the hassles or just how hard it was for them to go through high school, all the stresses of getting to college and then managing college. So over the years, over 300 students have graduated from Success Koach. Some have done really well, some have done okay, some have actually faltered. So my heart goes out to the ones who could not survive college, with a small percentage, because we really try hard to give them that skill. But today with me, I've got three amazing panelists. Shreya, Olisaneme, and Tosca, who have been with my company for a while now. They are mentors in the company and counselors. They will talk to their journeys, what worked for them. So this is mostly from the heart. I'll share some of my stresses even while I was raising Shreya and Dia, my younger one, who's now in Santa Clara University. So Shreya graduated from Columbia. First she went to Wellesley College, then she did her master's at Columbia. Now she's doing she's working for Microsoft. Olisaneme is doing an amazing thing. He finished from Harvard, spent a year at Rice doing his master's, and now he's off to med school. And Tosca, our wonderful Tosca, finished from Harvard, and now she's at Disney, and she's a counselor for my team. So I'll give them a chance to tell their stories, what they want to share. But at a high level, the theme of this presentation really is, this is about you guys. Exciting journey ahead for you. The three themes we want to talk about are: how do we coach parents to go navigate through this stressful time? How do students get over their social anxieties when they get to college? With networking, with meeting with professors, seeking out help, and just in general life skills, which all these three people have, gone through and floundered at different times and have mastered. So we'll have that vulnerable moment as well. So without further ado, Tosca, we'll start with you. Give us your 1 minute storylines that you want to talk about. And then we'll go to Shreya, then we'll go to Olisaneme.
Hey everyone. So Harpal already mentioned some basic information about me, so I'll keep this very quick. I'm super excited to share with you guys about some of the things that were terrible about first arriving at college and what made life bearable and then ultimately good. My hope is that we can show you that even though the transition is not necessarily easy, that it is achievable, and give you practical advice on how to have a positive start to your college experience, based off of our own trials and tribulations. So please do not hesitate to ask any questions. You can also text us, and if you're not comfortable asking in front of a crowd, and we will try to give information as quickly as possible. But my goal is definitely to pull back the curtain a little bit, because and give some advice that I wish I had an older sibling to give to me.
Wonderful, great. Shreya?
Hi guys. So for those of you who weren't here earlier, my camera's off because I'm in a hotel right now. I'm traveling for work, so sorry about that. But yeah, I'm just on here because I guess I struggled. My struggles were mainly in high school, but then like I did have some struggles that weren't expected in my final year of college as well, where I just had like some, like I think that like having mental health issues is
Yeah.
very normal. But I definitely struggled at different times with my mental health, and I even thought about like, taking a semester off from college for a while, and I didn't end up doing that, but it was something that I considered. So I think that just knowing that, whatever you I guess whatever you need to do to get through college, whether it's take some time off or just like spend more time with your parents or like whatever, like all of that stuff is normal because a lot of people struggle with different things in college.
Well
Um,
said. Yeah. Wonderful.
and yeah.
You could have given a shout out to your dad, who took good care of you as well, but oh well.
Yeah, but he's not on this call, so.
Dang. Awesome, great. Okay, Olusoleme, please.
Yeah. Hey, y'all. My name is Success. I'm super excited to be a part of this panel. I really echo what Treya said about kind of, understanding like your own path and how you're feeling. In my experience as a pre-med, I'm often surrounded by a lot of people who kind of know exactly what they want to do and how they want to do it. And with someone with a bit more of an untraditional background, while studying bioengineering while being pre-med, that definitely presented some challenges for me. So I'm super excited to, talk to you guys about that experience and help you guys be more prepared in the future.
Wonderful, great. So as Tosca alluded to housekeeping items, guys, and as you heard them, there will be some vulnerable moments. They'll be sharing a lot of good things with you all, and it's all from the heart. And if you have questions, you can put them in the chat. We will have two time points, that point number 6 in the presentation, and then again and towards the end, which we'll do Q&A. But please keep anonymous questions keep coming in, or if you just want to give your name, that's fine too. It's perfectly fine. But either way, just want to have you all talking to us, asking about what you have concerns about, and I'm going to be mostly moderating the discussion. So, and again, all the panelists will also look at the comments that are coming in. So, I'll just Shreya, Tosca, any one of you, if you want to answer right there, that's good. Or we can just table it for a conversation midways or towards the end. Okay. So with that, let's go into presentation mode. Can everybody see my screen? Okay, good. Awesome. So most students don't know what's coming. They're excited. They're mostly just relieved that they got into college. But what's coming is a huge seismic change. It's a tsunami. You can ride it, or you can crash through it, or you can just survive it. I think you can ride it, and you can actually do really well. And I saw my girls struggle and go through it. I think you'll do it well. So this is really to help you prepare mentally, emotionally, and practically to go through these. And hopefully some of you will listen to this as a recorded session. Please be open to come and talk to us, successkoach.com. You can put time on my calendar. When I saw a lot of these problems, I wanted to become a college admissions counselor, simply so I could come up with that template of success. And that's when Tosca joined me about 3 years ago. And we started putting the template of success for students for summer programs, college admissions, extracurriculars, testing, knowing just what's out there and just making the journey fun for them. Okay. So if you thought high school was, and look at my hand as I'm going, if high school was, if that 10th, 11th was this, 12th was this, college is literally in terms of the expectation of your academic prowess. The challenges are much more. You will spend less than 10 hours in college in the classroom, and 158 hours every week out of that week will be spent outside in the campus. No, mom's not making you any soup. There's no laundry being done for you, nothing. So you're pretty much on your own. And this is this story was not as pronounced pre-COVID, but so I had one kid who got through pre-COVID and one who's going through it post-COVID. And I can see the differences. The 2-3 years that COVID took away of robbed students of their childhood really made the difference, where they are not actually fully ready for college. But nonetheless, that's the cards you've been dealt. We're going to deal with it the way it is. So, that's what we're going to talk about, the diversity of the environment and a lot of the independence. I mean, if you don't want to go to a class, you don't have to go to a class. You just will fail the class. The professor's not going to give you a call. Your teacher's not going to ask you questions. Why did you not attend? They could care less many times. Okay? So it's up to you what you make out of it. And Tosca, Shreya, or listener, anyway, if you want to chime in, please do that. So.
Yeah, I think a lot of students we're working with will find that college is not necessarily academically more challenging, but the logistics behind it are the tough transition. I felt high school prepared me actually quite well for the academic expectations, but being on top of my own course selection and building a relationship with my professors and getting to class on time and staying on top of my work, none of that was handed to us anymore. No one is making worksheets in college, in my experience. That's just not going to happen anymore. So it is a transition in that way. It's more professional in the sense that, like, for example, in the workplace, you will be given assignments and not necessarily, no one is necessarily holding your hand while you're doing it. So it is sort of a professional skill you'll be developing.
Well said. Okay. It's not rocket science, academic preparation. You've gone through that. You've gone through the rigor in the last 4 years. Sometimes I tell students it's time to take a step back and smell the roses, yet stay really disciplined. And how do you do both together is your challenge. I mean, these are the only 4 years of your life you will actually get time to rest. The moment you're done with that, your parents and life will be on you to start getting a job or do a master's. Like Shreya's finished a master's and I'm still on her tail to get a PhD. So it's just, and she's also working at the same time. So it's hard, but being organized, this is your opportunity to, I think Tosca used this word yesterday with me, the chance to go from semi adulthood or something. That was the term she used yesterday. And this is your opportunity to do that. And, looking at college work more as a learning phase to look at all the opportunities. I mean, most of you in undergrad will not become Einsteins when you finish undergrad. You're going to be as unemployable as most others are going to be, but you would have the ability to have seen a lot of things and a lot of different perspectives, would have learned those. So, cherish that, savor that, go with that.
I want to chime in super quickly. I think one big academic challenge that I saw, and I saw students floundering as a result of, is, I mean, obviously Harvard is a very competitive place, but a lot of the schools that you guys are going to be attending are just as competitive, if not more so. Students are accustomed to being in the top percentile of their class. There's a chance that for the first time you might be getting grades you weren't expecting or seeing people doing a lot better than you are. I have seen students completely lose a sense of identity, even at Harvard, right? Where you would expect someone to feel like, oh my God, I'm the best. But actually, it's very easy to fall to the bottom of your class because you're surrounded by people who are the same way and lose that sense of identity and falter and lose that confidence, lose that momentum. So something we'll probably touch on later, we're going to say focus on yourself. It's going to sound very corny, but it's true that you need to focus on the resources you need to succeed instead of someone else's journey. They might just come from experiences that made them more prepared for coming into the same class as you are. They might have had certain prep work. They might just be used to the kind of people you're around. Who knows, right? So I want to prep you guys for that because it's very normal. Alyssa, may I see you nodding, so maybe you can chime in.
Yeah, no, I totally like echo that experience. Like it's definitely like a shift, especially at a competitive place like Harvard. I think a mindset that was really helpful for me, and maybe when I would tell to like a younger self, is trying to consider college as like a place to learn about yourself and like how you tick and like kind of what fills your cup. Because while in the moment, college feels very, very high stakes, like all the time, and it's like the most important thing in your life to date. Big picture, like being like a functional adult later in life is like more important. So it's not just about, although grades are very important and you guys should know that, but it's not just like about like doing well or being able to like cram and like just get by. It's about trying to understand how you can sustainably identify and like pursue goals and like how you respond when you fail or when you falter. Because, in like real life after college, these things are going to come up often. And, it's important to kind of build up knowledge of self and character traits, as well as, the skills that you're learning in college.
Well said. I remember Shreya, do you want to go? I
Yeah.
have something about Wellesley, but go ahead. I'll go after you.
You can go first. It's fine.
No, that's okay. I'll go after you. I don't want to steal your thunder. Go ahead.
No, I actually think like so Oscar and Alyssa and May said is like definitely spot on. I just want to like add on to some of that. Like what really helped me in college for like some of my like right beforehand, I actually like took, well, I don't know if everyone has access to this, but I like kind of I so I met up with a couple of tutors beforehand, and because I didn't really know how to code well before college, but I was like, college is not like the first time I want to be exposed to this material. So I kind of like took summer courses where I where I like prepped ahead of time. Nothing crazy. Like I just learned basic coding, and then like before my like data structures course in my second year, I kind of did the same thing, and it really helped me because I ended up being like at the like way ahead of everybody else who was like learning the material for the first time. And I definitely think that helped, but that may not be what everybody wants to do. And another thing that I did, because I basically had nothing really good on my resume. A lot of you guys might be going into college with like, some crazy research experiences or some cool summer camps that you did or whatever, but I didn't have too much of that. So what I started doing like the summer before college started, and like around this time, maybe a little later, was I found a few professors that I might be interested in working with. And I started doing research work. Research isn't for everyone, but I definitely think just considering it just to boost up your resume, because you're gonna have to start thinking about, oh yeah, like what are people gonna see when I'm applying to internships later on, blah blah blah. And like research is a really good transition to like being, just doing work, like exactly like what Tosca said earlier about like getting assignments and being responsible for delivering something that isn't academic. So I would strongly consider that if I were you guys.
The one thing, Shreya, I noticed is when you're during your first session at Wellesley, when the Dean of Admissions came in and said, you were the top of your class, which is why you're in Wellesley. Everybody's in the top of their class and they are here. So now what? Who's going to give? What's going to give? And there was a pregnant pause, and there was a silence in the crowd because everybody was a top hitter in there. And Malcolm what's his name? Malcolm Gladwell. He has a talk. It's a 9-minute talk on YouTube, and I can send it to everybody. It said a third of the class at Harvard drops out from the STEM courses every year. And he went into statistically why that happens, because STEM-oriented students tend to weigh their personality and their own well-being or their sense of who they are based on their grades a lot more than humanities-based students do. And when they get the Bs or they're not in the top cohort in the class, or the quartile, they pretty much quit and move on. Okay? So it's a good 9-minute talk about how to think about it and be ready for it. Okay, the second big topic is building independence. If you are a part of Success Koach, we have been very diligent about telling you about using your calendar. It's surprising how many even rising seniors come to us who've never used a Google Calendar, who've never used a task to-do list, right? And I know Tosca does that, but she has to really work with every one of them saying, you got to start using it. Shreya can talk to laundry skills, probably, because it took her a while before she got there.
Actually, I was able to do my laundry right off the bat.
Okay. Okay. Mom said something different to me once in a while. Self-discipline, making decisions, and solving problems independently. Again, you will be exposed to dangerous situations, good situations, more dangerous situations than you might want to be, because it's a your life is very protected and covered in high school and just going home. Frat parties on their own can be a place where a lot of crazy things do happen. And having those conversations and knowing that what's out there and how you're going to act with that knowledge is super critical. I remember even when Shreya was going to college, we actually hired a taekwondo trainer. Was it taekwondo, Shreya, or it was just self-defense, Anthony?
Self
And yeah, self-defense, and had like 7 or 8 sessions with that. Anthony was a 6.5 foot tall man, big guy. And towards the end of those 7 sessions, there was one session I remember Shreya almost flipped him over. Okay. I mean, small Shreya, like 100-pounder, 120-pounder, flips a 250, 300-pounder over. Like he literally fell down. So my point is, I taught them skills like using pepper spray. And I still remember Shreya, all 4 years of college would have the pepper spray as a part of a lantern, and just gave her confidence in who she was.
Not lantern, it's a lanyard.
Okay, whatever that you guys call it. Yeah, that's fine.
I want to, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm done. I can keep
I
going.
just want to point out though that it's not like people are necessarily lurking around corners, but sometimes it is about the choices that you make on your own when you're trying to like socially accomplish something. The thing is, I think a lot of freshmen, especially freshmen who come from sheltered backgrounds, when I turned 13, my dad got all alcohol out of the house. I don't think he was scared necessarily of us drinking, but he just didn't want to, I don't know. I guess his logic was if it's not in the house, it can't be a problem. And I mean, I'm lucky that my dad never made a big deal out of alcohol, because when I got to college, I didn't feel the pressure to drink heavily or, do anything to prove that I had exposure to alcohol in some way. But I definitely noticed some people who felt the need to drink a lot because they finally felt free to do so, or they felt like I'm an adult now, I'm a big kid, I get to do this. Unfortunately, I did know people who literally ended up in AA in their time in undergrad. And I know that sounds like a really bad joke, but it's really unfortunate. It's really sad that some of their time in college was spent trying to focus on sobriety rather than, their academic goals. And it's, I'm not saying that this is going to happen to all of you guys. I'm just saying that sometimes it's about you making the right choice for yourself, even if it doesn't feel like, I don't know about cool. I don't think that peer pressure is actually as big of a deal in college as you might think. It might be pressure you're more putting on yourself to prove you're an adult to yourself. Whereas I think it's like very okay to do things when they feel right for you. So trying to find that inner voice of this situation, it just doesn't really feel right for me. No one is paying attention. Like truly no one cares what you are doing in college. No one's like, oh, Tosca, how many drinks did you have tonight? Oh, 9? Oh, loser. No one was saying that. Literally no one cared. So no, there's no one in the corner is what I'm trying to say.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said. Okay. That's time management.
Oh yeah, and also for time
Yeah.
management, your Google Calendar or just a calendar will be your best friend, because I'm pretty sure almost everybody just puts the time for their classes, their meetings with professors, this, that. I didn't use my Google Calendar in high school, but I am addicted to it now. So it's just really important to have a good calendar that reminds you of when stuff's coming up, because you're not going to remember.
Calendar is not optional. It is truly not optional. You use it or die. Like it's just not.
Yeah, exactly.
This is another example of, okay, I know I just said no one thinks you're a loser. Okay, you know what they will judge you for? They will judge you for not knowing how to do your chores, for not washing your sheets, for having a messy room and common space, for not maintaining your personal hygiene, things like that. That is what people will judge you for, not how much you drink. People will not want to sit near you because I promise people can tell if you have not showered in a couple of days. You can't smell you, but that's because you live with you. You know what I mean? This is a real issue for I want to say some freshmen who are finally off on their own and don't have a parent being like, hey, what are you doing? Please get in the shower, dude.
Computer science students, especially computer science students.
I talked to someone in urgent care at Harvard one time, and she said, oh yeah, during finals, a lot of people come in with rashes because they have not been changing their clothing. They've just been studying for days and days straight. They literally get bacterial infections. So Just saying, it's a real problem. Doesn't matter where you are. It can be the most prestigious college. It can be just like literally anywhere. It happens.
And what's that drink you kids drink which keeps you awake in the nights to work? What is that? Which is that Red Bull?
Yeah, there's so many.
It's just
Don't
crazy.
try to stay away from those if you can. It really doesn't. It's not good for you. But if you need it, I mean, do what you need to do. Just be careful because they have long-term effects. So
I feel like those things corrupt you because you feel like, oh, I can procrastinate because I have this, new tool with me, new toy I can leverage, a crutch I've got. And that's an area which I think students should be careful about. Okay, now comes the favorite part of my session, which is parental guidance. As much as students need to be coached to get ready for college, parents need the same kind of coaching to let go and to trust the students to make decisions, to be very open with them about what's at stake or what mistakes could be made. I used to be very open with my girls till date. I think the rule in our house is be careful what you ask me. Whatever you ask dad, you're going to get an honest answer. And you might not want me to be that open, but I will be. And in our house, my Gitika is the one who is more politically correct, and she holds back things, but I don't hold back. And that's led to some interesting times in our life. But one of the, so letting go in terms of respecting your child, letting them make the mistakes, because college is still a fairly there is a safety net. I mean, it's not as much a safety net was in your house, but it is still a safety net because there are enough security procedures over there. But you won't get access to their healthcare records because they're over 18. If you call the college to say, where is the transcript, or you won't get access to it because those are adults you're dealing with. And when you yell and shout at the child saying, I don't have access to it, or give me access to it, that tells this child that you're not treating them like an adult. So let them make the mistakes, guys. Let them fall, because the more they fall, as long as they don't have a crazy fall, it's okay to be walking around with a crutch for a few days. Budgeting rules are super critical. I had given them secured credit cards, but there was very clear rules around how you can use that. The biggest thing I did with Shreya was I had told her I made her take a loan, a $30,000 loan when she went to college. She was going to private school, and I said, this is what your contribution is going to be towards the payment of your loans. This is the loan you're taking on, and in year 2, I told her, I said, if you finish college in 3 years or 3.5 years, you're saving me money, I'll pay for your loan. So she actually finished in 3 years. Now, in hindsight, I don't think it was the best idea. I wish she would have stayed longer, made more friends over there, but that's water under the bridge. But finance is important that you discuss with kids what they are and who's paying for college, and is it coming from your 401k? Is it coming from your nest egg? Your nest egg, you're not going to be able to ever build again. So giving those kids that knowledge is super critical. I'll let the three of you talk about your experiences with all these 4 areas, but I kind of alluded to substance use, but I'll open up for 3 of you, and parents can ask as many questions. You're all allowed to. If you just unmute yourself, you can ask questions. But go ahead, start with Tosca, and then I'll listen and share your perspectives on this, and then we can open it up to questions from this audience.
Yeah, sure. Harpal and I spoke yesterday, and there's one story I feel like I tell everyone in my life, because I think it's very emblematic of what I think an ideal parent's role is in a student's life at this time. So I was a freshman when COVID hit. So I was sent home, and I finished my freshman year finals at home. The night that I finished my last final, I got extremely sick, feverish, just flu-like symptoms. Is really bad. Started going to the ER, started going to urgent care. They had no idea what was going on. All right. And meanwhile, I feel like I'm dying. It was really bad. Anyway, I don't want to get too much into the actual medical details, but just trust me, it was a really bad illness. And at the time, some of the doctors kept insisting that they thought I had syphilis. Granted, testing hadn't come back. They were just saying that because they saw a college-age girl, symptoms that presented like syphilis. And I was humiliated that doctors kept insisting that I had syphilis. I was like, no, guys, I don't think that's it. I don't think that's it. Please, like, I don't think that's true. So I was crying in the ER, not because I felt like I was sick, but because I was so embarrassed to have people insisting. They literally said, when you hear hooves, think horses, not zebras. As in, it felt so obvious to them that I had syphilis. The thing is, I was really fortunate to have parents who I trusted and knew would not shame me. And I said, I have two dads. So I said, Dad, Papa, the doctors keep telling me they think I have syphilis. I don't think that's it, but that's what they keep saying. And my dads were like, oh my God, let me go talk to my friend who's a doctor. He studies STDs, or STIs, I guess is what they're called now. Let's get his information. That doctor actually told us maybe it is syphilis, but it sounds more like Stevens-Johnson syndrome. Stevens-Johnson syndrome, it turns out, affects 1 in 2 million people. No wonder the ER thought I had syphilis and not that. And the scary thing is it's lethal. So if you wait for too long, your body gives itself 3rd-degree burns, you are covered in burns and you die. That's basically what happens. And time is of the essence. So the fact that I was able to be very honest with my parents about what was happening and only get support instead of shame meant that I got treated days earlier and thankfully didn't die. I only had to go through minor surgery, didn't lose my eyesight, anything like that, right? But that was on the line. So that's what was at stake, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So obviously there are embarrassing things that can happen. Also relationships start, right? Like your kids are going to go through potentially breakups, or you guys, if you're a student, you might be going through something like breakups or relationships or awkward situations like that. Hopefully not as drastic, right? In hindsight, I wish it was syphilis, right? Because syphilis isn't lethal and I wouldn't have been hospitalized. So I guess the moral of that story is without the support of my parents and not, non-judgment, I could have died. Which is a very dramatic story, right? But it can happen to anyone. So I really urge the parents on this call to think, is embarrassing my child what I want to do instead of them trusting me and me helping them out of a bad situation? Another example of this might be something like a relationship that's becoming toxic, borderline abusive. Thankfully, I haven't had that experience, but if your child is too scared to say, hey, I think I might be in an abusive relationship, I need your help getting out. If they're afraid that you're going to judge them for any of that, they might not come to you. I'm not trying to like ring an alarm bell here or embarrass anyone or make you feel like you're doing something wrong, but I will say just from a student's perspective, it meant the world to me, truly meant the world to me. And this is why I'm still very close with my parents and call them every day and talk to them all the time. And, we actually have a meaningful relationship because of that. So I'll get off my soapbox now, but
Sweet.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely echo a lot of what Tosca said. Having like knowing that I could like call my mom like when I was like really like overwhelmed, and even if like she can't really help, like she's not gonna do my homework for me or anything, but like just being able to like talk and be like, oh, like I'm overwhelmed, was pretty helpful, especially early on in college. I think from a substance perspective, one thing that really jumped out to me in college, it's kind of from like two perspectives. One, from like an alcohol perspective, you should never really feel rushed to drink, just in the sense that like basically everyone's kind of always going at their own pace, and it'll just like feel better and like be better if you just do it on your own terms. I think that's like really important. Like I think it's hard to like there's still going to be times where you feel maybe pressured to do it, and maybe you're just putting pressure on yourself to do it. But it definitely does just work out better if you're just beating to your own drum instead of someone else's. Especially because sometimes, you'll find yourself like you have like an idea in your mind of like the student that you're supposed to be or the students that you're trying to be like, but you don't know everything going on in that student's life. Like things can be like very like different. So it's really important to try to understand yourself in that context. The other substance I want to talk about is caffeine. So I have a much more storied relationship with caffeine than with alcohol. And I think like main lesson, caffeine is not a replacement for sleep. Caffeine feels better when you are well rested. And like to be honest, you should try to avoid caffeine. One way I've heard is that you want to use caffeine, you don't want caffeine to use you. Like if you have a complete dependence on caffeine, it can also like impact your performance as a student or just like as a functional individual. Like using caffeine kind of sparingly, I think um, will do you really good in the long run.
Nice.
I see a question in the chat that someone asked, which says, how much does college prestige play a part in job applications? Um, it so I guess it's very the truth is it's a lot more major dependent, but for computer science, it really does not matter. Um, like if you're going to a school that has a decent computer science program, or some like it's good, they have a lot of job fairs usually and things like that, so prestige shouldn't matter too much. It's a lot more about like what you do during those 4 years. So like I said, like maybe pick up some research or like pick up just things that will actually make employers notice you. um for I guess for humanities majors, I think it does matter a bit more. Um, but that's not even so much at the bachelor's level, as a lot of humanities majors end up getting their PhDs, and that really matters a lot. But to answer your question, prestige about like the university you go to is not really going to have too much of an impact on your job applications, if any. So.
Yeah, I loved Shreya's advice earlier of thinking what can you do now to add to your resume later, and build up from smaller, worse experiences to better, more prestigious experiences. I do think experience is more impactful than you'd realize. A Harvard degree is not enough I mean, I can only speak from my own experience, which is why I keep bringing up Harvard. But in my experience, getting to work at Disney now was more a series of jobs that I had and meeting people rather than, oh, she must be very smart and capable. That doesn't really play into things as much. So at least in entertainment, I went from an unpaid internship to a paid internship to a better paid internship, and you advance that way. So right now, as a freshman, this is your time to just get basic skills on the resume so you can eventually get the jobs that you want.
Yeah.
So take those kind of worse opportunities and pivot those into better opportunities later. But freshmen who think that they're going to land the Disney internship or the Microsoft internship, they truly make me laugh, because it's just rare to pull that off, if not impossible. For example, Disney doesn't do internships for anyone who isn't a senior. So some of these companies, they're going to be waiting for the more advanced students. Now's your time to try to get in a small company, really make a big impression, and have someone who's ready to advocate for you later. So that's not from a CS perspective, but at least it's at least a more general career perspective.
Just echoing on the discussion point, which are parental relationships. There was a time at Wellesley I had to go and spend literally 3 weeks to 4 weeks. I just camped outside Wellesley when Shreya was going through a hard time. And I just stayed there. I said, whenever you want a place, I just rented an Airbnb. And because she was going through a hard time and I knew I could not really be there to help her, but I just wanted to be there. And my biggest thing was, if you want me to take you home, I'll take you home whenever you want. I took a place like 3 miles away from Wellesley so I could have dinners with her. And I think that probably of everything I did, I think it helped with my relationship with her and just being as a parent, supportive of them. So
I agree. Just having like your parent, just knowing that your parent will be there when times get hard is so much. It means so much. And someone asked, what are Shreya and Tosca's experiences on girls carrying self-protection like pepper spray, any other on them? So so throughout college, I carried pepper spray. I think I was also very paranoid because most people didn't do that. But like, there were times where I'd have to walk through like Boston at night alone, and that was it always felt better knowing I had pepper spray on me. But from what I've heard, like instead of pepper spray, pepper gel is a better option. And I actually ended up getting that as well, because pepper gel is better for like you don't have to get as close to a person to use it, and it's not like as much wind dependent. So it's it goes further, and it's just, and it doesn't like, if like in a windy city like Boston, where the three of us were, that could be kind of a problem. So definitely pepper gel. But again, like I also agree with what Tosca and Olusaneme were saying, where like a lot of the danger is just based on your choices. But it doesn't hurt to stay like careful, especially like if you're going to school in New York, for example. There have been people who've been attacked by people on the side of the street, so it's important to have some sort of self-protection or like some plan.
I also want to throw in, I mean, I grew up traveling a lot, so I've been pretty comfortable in unfamiliar spaces, maybe more so than other students. So I don't think I wouldn't describe myself as paranoid in public spaces at all. I own pepper spray. I don't always carry it with me. Something I learned in self-defense classes is sometimes your own weapons can be used against you. And at that point, like, who knows? I mean, I've never regretted carrying it. I've never needed to use it, thankfully. What I will say is it's more important for students to think about where are places where they know the space well and feel safe, right? Like your campus, your quad might feel like a very safe zone. Oh, if I'm going to this party, I can get back home by myself. I have a plan. I already know where I'm going. Um, if you're going somewhere unfamiliar, having a plan and at least familiarizing yourself a little bit with the area matters. So look into your city where you're going to be going, and try to understand what the safe or unsafe parts of campus are. Where should you be going by yourself? Where should you be with other people typically? For example, you would not really see me walking through the Boston Common by myself. That's just, no one should do that, honestly, not just young women, like truly no one should be doing that. It's just not worth it. Whereas walking through Cambridge, not really a big deal. Nothing really happens in Cambridge. So learning your safe zones. Also, if you have practiced a commute of some kind several times and you're very familiar with it. Another thing, my big pointer is try to know what resources your campus has. So for example, Harvard had a shuttle where it was almost like a free Uber, and you could get picked up pretty much anywhere on campus and taken back to your dorm. There are also, most campuses have blue light systems where no matter where you are, there's a blue light visible where you can get emergency services called very quickly. I mean, presumably you have your phone on you, but even backup options like that are good. And then also something my dad did, which I really appreciated, he gave me a $50 Uber gift card and said, no questions asked. Use this when you are not feeling safe. If you are drunk, if you're with people you don't know. My family and I actually have a code phrase as well. So I mean, my dad ultimately moved to Boston because my siblings and I were all going to school in the Boston area. But he wasn't like following us around. He was just more available, which I really appreciated. But we had a code phrase. So if I was ever in a situation where I felt uncomfortable, I knew exactly what I could call and say to my dad, and I knew he would be there. But also, I mean, you can implement that system with friends. I had that with some of my friends as well, just like a code phrase, so that if we were at a party and felt really uncomfortable, we could get out of there. So just having one or two people with you, typically that you trust, and anticipating that this situation, you might need more information. Sorry,
I love that.
abandoned.
No, I love that code phrasing. That is so cool. That's the way to go. It's just have a code phrase with your friend, with your family, so they know when to.
Yeah. Make sure the code phrase is something you wouldn't normally say though. So for example, I'm not going to say my family's code phrase in case any of you ever come for me, but it could be something like, oh, like dang it, I didn't wash the living room, or I didn't wash my duvet, or something, like, I don't know, something that you would just not normally say to your friends. Preferably about something you don't own, like, oh, I didn't take my car to the car wash. Dang, I totally forgot about that. You don't own a car, right?
Yeah.
Something like that where they know it doesn't make sense normally.
Yeah. Okay, let's keep moving. And guys, keep asking questions in the chat. If you want to go anonymous, that's fine too, but keep asking. We'll keep answering questions. You can also unmute yourself because everybody has the facility now to unmute and they can ask questions. We'll take questions right there as well. Next topic is social and emotional adjustment. A lot of students stay shy and the time is ticking. Everybody in the room is new. Start making friends. And I remember Tosca and I talked yesterday about this as well, but these are the lasting friendships you'll have, guys. So if you really finish 4 years and you have just 2 people you know well, you missed an opportunity. It's your chance to make 35 good people that you know, maybe make 10 really good friends and 2 BFFs, right? So have that knowledge factor that everybody's out there to get better at who they are. Look up the people who are lonely. I used to come to Shreya's cafeteria every once in a while. I would see people just sitting alone and eating. And it would just bother me. Obviously, I didn't want to go and sit down with them, but other students could have obviously gone and just sat down with them because they were all sitting individually. But anybody, any perspective, please go ahead.
That's actually how my best friend and I, actually Tosca's sibling, and I met, because we were both completely alone at orientation. And I just went up to them and I was just like, hey, like, what's up? I need a friend. Do you have any friends here? And they were like, nope. And so we just started hanging out.
Yeah, wonderful.
We ended up hanging out for our entire time at college. So
And now we're friends and we work together and it's great.
yeah.
Yeah. And Shreya and Chaucer it's really cute. Still friends, love it. I could
Yep.
not agree more. Shreya, you're completely correct. It's not weird. You're all freshmen, you're all coming from somewhere where you don't know people. If someone seems like they know a lot of people, it's possible that their school is just a feeder school to that college and they just already have a home base of 16 people who are coming with them. It depends. So maybe you'll have that home base. If you already know a couple of people, please do not only stick to them, right? Try to keep expanding and move past that, because you are truly missing out if you are not making friends from other states, other backgrounds, other interests. It's just so boring to know the same three people and to still don't be that person who's like only talking about high school stuff with your college friends. It's so boring. It's lame. It's like, move on. Um, but what I will say is I treated college like a fifth class, or not college, socializing like a fifth class. I would sit in the dining hall for hours at a time and go up to people I didn't know and chat and make friends with their friends. And it's not weird as a freshman. It gets weirder after freshman year. So
Yes.
use freshman year. Please go sit in a library where you're allowed to talk and chat with people about what they're working on. And you will make friends that way just by being friendly and interested and trying to remember basic details about people. Something I do to this day is when I get someone's number, I'll just write down a little bit of what we chatted about in the notes of that contact. Just like, oh, this person's from Connecticut. They have a sister who's a few years older. They're into psychology. And we chatted about this TV show. I know that sounds a little bit psycho, but you are meeting so many people that remembering one or two details about someone and also remembering their names makes people feel really special. Because people feel very lonely. So if you can take the time to actually remember someone, basic details, that will put you just a step ahead. And it's not frivolous, right? These relationships matter long term. These are people who are kind of your cohort for life. These are people you're going to be turning to for favors, advice, companionship, potentially your roommate someday when you move to a different city, or they might know someone. You just never know. Not that your friendship should be transactional, but it's not frivolous, basically. So, yeah, just take it seriously. It's like a fifth class. You need friends. And then also when things get hard, you want friends who are looking out for you and able to support you. And when you're sick, bringing you soup, because your parents might not be there to do it.
Yeah. Go ahead and listen to me.
Oh,
Oh,
no, sorry. I don't need
okay.
to speak. You're good.
I guess, yeah, the big thing is that you have to remember that like all humans, especially like freshmen, are like seeking connection. So like don't feel like, you're being like awkward or like kind of being in a place where you're not supposed to be, because like no, like, you're in the right place. Also, one thing I would recommend that worked out really well for me, was find like a club or two, and this club ideally is not related at all to your career aspirations. Like, for example, I was part of the Harvard Outing Club. We would lead outings or like hikes and trips for the Harvard community. And I basically picked two clubs. These happen to be two hiking clubs that I stuck with all 4 years, and that worked really well for me. And a key thing with this club, whichever club that you pick, whether it's like something arts related or like video games related or whatever, try to go to all the club meetings, even if it's not convenient. Like if you know, if it prevents you from from doing something really important, like academically, like then of course not. But if it's just like, oh, like I don't know if I'll be able to make it, or like, oh, like I'll have to like manage my time or something in order to make this event. Like I would always say, like try to go to the event. Because that's how you make connections. Like that's how you become a face that is recognizable to people that are passing by who will also want to connect with you and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So yeah, so try to find a club. You don't have to stay there forever, like, but find like one club, not career related, and just go to all the club meetings for, you know, as long as you can. And that's a great way to meet people.
Also, if you linger after classes, sometimes if you also just sit next to random people in classes, you can chat with them a little bit. So if you move your seat around occasionally, um, basically, people will be grateful to you if you do the hard thing first and say hi. They want you to say hi, if anything. And then also you will occasionally bond. Some people just like it won't turn into a friendship, but at least you can like say hi to them when you walk by and it's a new friendly face. And as long as you don't be weird about it, it's not weird. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Shreya, go
Okay.
ahead.
Like the big thing, I mean, like they're both of these people, like Tosca and Olisaneme, like they're both like spot on, and they probably honestly know more about this because they went like in undergrad to like a big university, whereas like I went to like, you know, a small liberal arts college where it was definitely like a little bit probably more compact and just a bit easier to meet people. But um the thing is that you don't need to stress so much about, I wouldn't stress about making friends because you will make friends. Like the people that, like we all saw that there were some people in high school who had like no friends, or they were just kind of, you know, on their own. And even those people today, like they have, like I know for a fact because they've told me that they found friends in college. So like, not to be super mean, but like even the weirdos find friends. So you're gonna find friends. Like you don't force it either, you know, because it's gonna happen.
Okay.
Okay, hey, let's be nice to the weirdos. Hey,
Okay.
hey.
As someone who was like definitely on the weirder side, like I think, you know, that's what I'm trying to say. Even I found friends, so
Okay, great. Let's move on. We're getting close to the end of the session. Taking care of yourself, mental health, you know, these schools are magnets for mental health problems. Okay, because it's such a big change you're going to go through. So you're not alone if you're going through a mental health issue. Be open about it to your parents, to your counselors, to your professors, to your mates. It'll help you. Okay. Establishing routines. I know Dia, my younger one, does this really well. She has nailed her routine for sleep and nutrition, and Shreya does the same thing, but I see that more pronounced in, obviously because Dia works in Santa Clara right here, so I see her more often. But having this balance, this is about adulthood as much as it is about surviving college. Yeah.
yeah, Dia is someone I really like respect in terms of her sleep, because she'll go out, she'll party, she'll do everything, but she always sleeps like before 12. And like she's very that's not, I mean, that's not very normal, you know. I don't see a lot of people doing that. And she's always like, she's never tired. She always has time to go to the gym. She always has time to like hang out with her friends. So like it's, if you get a decent amount of sleep, you'll be able to do everything, which is really nice.
Yeah, I want to point out that even adults, learning to treat yourself a bit like a toddler will make you happier. So thinking, okay, I don't feel good right now. Maybe instead of attributing it to the fact that I feel competitive with other students and they're doing so much better, maybe I need a snack, a shower, a nap, a walk. Let's see how I feel after I do all of that, and I'll probably be less stressed about the situation. Turns out I feel like 90% of problems can be fixed by a really, really good night of sleep, a meaningful conversation, going outside. Like you cannot neglect the fact that you are an animal. You're not like a head attached to a machine that moves you around. So neglecting that, sleep is also so not optional. It is not optional. It is how you consolidate memories. It is how you derive energy. Like, you need it so badly. So all-nighters are not cool. They might be necessary once a semester or something, but they are not good for you at all. That will catch up.
Stuff, I notice you do this, all three of you tell this to your younger students too. So it's not something that you can snap into a plan in college. These are habits you need to start building now, because many of these people on the call are parents of current high schoolers, 11th graders, rising 12th graders. So this is your time to build some of these routines, because if you don't have it now, it's going to get worse in college. So just know that.
One thing I want to add for this too is that, while you're trying to develop all these habits, giving yourself grace is also really important. Like, I think that, for example, sleep, like as an engineer, you know, I wouldn't sleep as much as I wanted to. And I was surrounded by people who were also like, oh, you like don't need to sleep. And all that to say, one, sleep is super important. Honestly, you could argue that having a consistent like 8 hour sleep schedule gives you more back than like studying like for those like 8 hours. Like, it's always like sleep is honestly just like this foundation that is lovely. And when you have to dig in and grind, you actually have something to give, which is important. But also, while this is happening, while you're trying to get your perfect sleep week and stuff, try to understand that it's not always going to work out. Life does happen. And no matter what, even if you feel like you're not meeting your goals exactly, it'll be easier to achieve those goals in the future.
Yeah, 4 hours of sleep is better than no hours of sleep. You're so
Mm.
right. Just even doing it sometimes is better than never doing it. You do not need to be perfect every single day, though, to be building your health and your well-being. It just really becomes a problem when you think it's always optional and you always default to not doing it, right?
Cool. Tips for success, staying positive. This life is not that hard. We all think the apocalypse is upon us tomorrow. It's not true. Mankind has survived for so many years. It will survive again. You will survive. The social media and this whole AI generation, like, people are going to be unemployed. There'll be nobody working. Everybody's going to be in a mess. We've gone through enough of these revolutions. Yes, this is a bigger revolution, but we've survived these before. We've gone through enough revolutions, industrial revolutions. This revolution will pass. It's just most of us are not equipped now. But that's what you want to do by getting positive, so you can actually make that change when the tsunami does hit you. Yep. Listening, we talked about new interest, working with newer groups. I know Shreya joined a bunch of a cappella groups and stuff at Wellesley. Seeking help, please reach out to your parents, talk to them. They can help you with just people they know in the neighborhood. So if, like, Shreya was in Boston, before I knew people in Boston through friends and stuff who could be of help. Don't fear failure. The more you fail, the more resilient you become. Obviously, you don't look forward to failure, but every failure, I am where I am, and I know my kids are where they are, is because the scars on their back. So keep that going. Practical steps before you go to college. Yeah, this is connecting with roommates, finding roommates online. I know there's a whole process of, finding roommates online and trying to gel with them. Go blind, right? Go into a system where you're like, I don't know who the roommate I'll be with. It's exciting. How much are you going to know of a person by chatting with them for 5-10 minutes to make a decision of your life, or to stay there? Learning to adapt to different kind of roommates is important. The blind system does work. I've seen it work in colleges.
It's also good because you can set boundaries and it doesn't feel awkward. If you're going and rooming with a friend and then you're like, okay, here are the rules, they might take that personally. What's just really important, though, with your roommates, very, very quickly communicate issues with them. Do not wait several months to tell them, hey, this is bad. Literally, if they're doing something, day one, talk to them about it and be like, hey, just a heads up, my preference typically is shoes off in the room. Are you open to that? Don't let that stew, because then it will become personal. At that point, you guys are friends, have been living together, so they're gonna wonder, why are you being passive aggressive and waiting to say it?
Next is we're down to like last slide. Conclusion. Change is a necessity. The only thing that doesn't change in life is change. Change, in fact, your generation will face change far more
And
than
taxes.
taxes. Well, thank you. But change is big. So that's a big one. And for Shreya, it's taxes, which she does not like paying. That's why you start businesses, helps with taxes. College is a journey of growth. Opportunities are abound. It's all yours to take. You can go and just be part of one club, make 2 friends. It's not going to alter life radically, but you are missing an important opportunity to achieve salvation. So here's a checklist you can do now. So you're ready for the tsunami that's coming. Almost start believing you are in college. If you are a rising senior, start practicing this. If you are a graduating senior, parents, literally put them in a room. Let them behave like adults now. Give them the budgets, give them look at their study habits. Like Shreya said, take summer school. That's the best way to save money. Right now, even going to enroll community college courses for your credits. You'll thank your wallet later. Getting involved with orientations, meeting with all your friends, even friends you weren't really close to in school. Try to reach out, because you never know, your friends who were not best friends in college, in high school, could start coming closer to you later. Yeah. Okay, you can contact us at successkoach.com if you have any questions, but I'm going to open this up now to audiences to ask questions. My team is here. We can answer questions. Please go ahead. You can just unmute yourself and ask questions, or you can just put it in the text chat.